Today, I'll be breaking down my biggest video ever called The Real Reason McDonald's Ice Cream Machines Are Always Broken. It has 12 million views.
Were you scared to make this video? I mean, you're calling out one of the biggest companies.
Yeah. After I published it, like everyone was like, dude, McDonald's corporate's gonna come after you. It's just insane, like drama to watch. Like she just was super snarky. It was perfect.
The style of editing, it just makes it feel like the world is talking about it.
That's a really satisfying, very YouTube-y kind of experience.
Like, am I watching YouTube? Am I watching Netflix? I love that you blur the lines.
It's hype, it's like buckle up. It's a retention mechanism.
We crave more of this. Should I care? I'll click, oh, I should care.
This is a massive problem.
If I could roast this, what would you have done differently now?
You're very good at what you do.
Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell because we have so many big videos coming up. I can't wait to show you guys a video that we just shot here, more interviews, more studio tours, more video breakdowns with the world's biggest YouTubers. So hit that button so you don't miss it. And now back to the video.
Today, I'm breaking down my biggest video ever, which is called The Real Reason McDonald's Ice Cream Machines Are Always Broken. Kind of a crazy one. I want to give you some behind the scenes on how this all came to be.
Let's get into it.
I'm investigating McDonald's ice cream machines. Who wants to go get ice cream?
Me! Can I take your order?
Can I get an ice cream cone?
We don't have ice cream right now.
Not today.
Not today.
Maybe tomorrow or something.
Or next week, I don't know.
Does that happen a lot, like that the machine's down?
Yeah, in this one, yeah.
Why go to McDonald's and like, why do that? You already kind of set it up.
You know, what I was realizing with this topic in particular is that it was a universal experience. There was a meme almost about it. The conspiracy theory about the ice cream machines came because people would go, they would document their experience and they'd be like infuriated. Like, I just want a McFlurry, and it was always down. So I kind of wanted to reference that meme a little bit, to be like, this happened to me. And it was kind of just baseline proof, like, hey, this happens. I went to a random McDonald's, like I just showed up to one. I think the fact that it was with my kids was just like a charming little personal thing. I don't do that as much anymore because I don't want to like show my kids on camera, but like this was one of those moments where I was like, this just is relatable, you know? And I think that instead of going right into the cerebral stuff, it's like, make it human, make it vloggy, and that kind of informalizes it a little bit. People have taken notice that the ice cream machines at McDonald's always seem to be down.
The ice cream machine part is not working.
The broken ice cream machines at McDonald's have been the fodder for a lot of weird internet culture. A couple months ago, I got an email from a guy who said that he had a deeper story. He said that there are important questions that no one is asking, and he promised me answers to those questions and data and evidence to back it up.
Johnny, you talk a lot about visual anchors. Is this one of them? What are they? How do they fold into your creative process?
Absolutely. So visual anchors can be highly visual in the sense that like you see it and you know exactly what's going on, or they can be something like this, an anonymous whistleblower email. It was actually a Patreon message that like, no matter who you are, you wake up to the fact that you're like, oh, something's going on here. It intrigues you. And I think that that's a key ingredient to good storytelling. So in this case, early on, even though I don't get to explaining this for a long time, I wanted the viewer to know, hey, I got a tip and it's potentially juicy. And to almost set up the video as I'm gonna figure out how juicy this tip really is.
And I love that you didn't tell us who gave you this email, like their background, like if they have ulterior motives, until the end.
Yes, yeah.
Which we'll talk about when we get there, but I thought that was a genius way to just create more curiosity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because most people would have just gave that away.
He even said that there's potentially something nefarious going on here. I was like, okay, cool, another conspiracy theory about these McDonald's ice cream makers. But I decided to dive in anyway and see this evidence for myself. I started looking at data, at internal McDonald's emails, at these mind-numbing 100-page instruction manuals for ice cream makers.
I love that you didn't just like say, I did a ton of research showing us all the paperwork and feeling the density of that. I feel like gives this more life and gives you more credibility.
Absolutely, that's a big thing. Part of it is I am super dyslexic, and so in my real life I print things all the time to read them. And I realized like, oh, this is a prop. Like I can show the audience that I use paper and in the process imbue kind of credibility that like I'm actually in the weeds with this, which is a very real thing. But instead of me just scrolling on a screen, it gives you a more kind of tactile experience.
And I find that as the world gets more digital, we crave more of this.
Totally. We crave a sense of like real paper, real experience. And I crave it always, and I think people identify, and it's sort of become a meme on my channel that like always printing stuff off, carbon footprint, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like, this is how I ingest information, and it also is like a nice prop.
Yeah, it's almost like Casey Neistat. I feel like that, like handwriting, like
major,
duct tape, like
major inspiration, Casey, absolutely.
Yeah. I love it.
It turns out there is something really weird going on here. Something that hasn't been reported on before. And something that shows that McDonald's broken ice cream machines actually reveal a bigger story about how big businesses protect one another, even if that means hurting their customers.
If I could roast this though, Johnny, because you've come a long way, do you think you could have shortened this intro?
Definitely. Yeah.
What would you have done differently now?
I mean, gotten to the promise. Like what I just said right there was the promise. It was like, something actually is going on here, I'm gonna show it to you. Instead, I did a lot of this indulgent kind of like, I kind of gave a preview of the whole video, which I still kind of do, but I do it in much shorter terms. I think I could have gotten through this in 90 seconds instead of like a few minutes. I never thought I'd be going down a deep investigation into ice cream makers, but I am, and I did, and I want to share with you what I learned.
McDonald's is getting on my fucking nerves.
And the machine is always down.
The ice cream machine is broken.
And if we try to pull the lever, this will happen.
Sorry, the ice cream machine is broken. The broken McDonald's ice cream machine epidemic has been so widespread for so long that it's a...
I love this style of editing.
Cool style.
It just makes it feel like the world is talking about it.
Totally, and that's what we do. And again, I think we did a too long one, but like, it shows that this is a thing. And if you've never heard about it, you should hear about it. And like, shout out to Jack Joyce, my editor at the time, who's also the producer. He did this amazing intro edit, and I think it really got the viewers hyped and like ready to go.
And I think it's all the more necessary when it's a topic that maybe somebody doesn't know about, or like your other videos, like why is breakfast dessert, or like those questions. It's like, wait, should I care? I'll click, oh, I should care.
I should care, yes, and this sort of helps prove that.
I love it.
To me,
You know what they're gonna say. You already know. The ice cream machine is broken.
Ice cream machine is broken. Kind of sounds like there's
You stylize your title sequences differently.
Yeah.
In a lot of your videos. Like,
every video we do is a different art direction with different graphic design, different color palettes. When we do these title sequences and like a slate at the end like this, we want it to be some composite of imagery, some like thing that could live on its own as a graphic designer. Again, shout out to Jack, the editor. He really designed this nicely, and like it's just a fun frame that like, it has the machine back here, it has the McFlurries, it has spreadsheets. It's a really cool, just like composite. And I love the idea of having a new art direction for every video. It just makes it fun for me.
this also makes it feel more elevated. It feels like am I watching YouTube? Am I watching Netflix? I'm not sure.
Totally,
you know?
yeah.
Let's fast forward to this moment in the video where you go to Wendy's to compare to their ice cream machines.
Do you guys have Frosties?
Yeah.
I was just at McDonald's and the ice cream machine was broken, and it seems like it always is. Is the ice cream machine broken here very often?
No. Yeah, that's a McDonald's problem. We wash the machines every single day.
Oh, that's cool. Is it easy to do that, or is it pretty complicated?
No, it's actually really easy to clean it. They're just lazy. It's the honest truth. It's the honest truth.
Oh, I got so lucky there. I mean, on both sides. The fact that they're like, I don't know, like at the McDonald's, they're like, it's broken maybe next week. And the fact that this lady was super snarky, it was just like, thank you. I didn't have to, that was the first time on both of those.
Oh, wow.
I didn't go through and like try to get like different lines. She just was super snarky. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that they use the same brand of machine as McDonald's does, and yet they don't have a McBroken. It's not an internet meme for them, nor is it for other places that use the same brand of ice cream maker, like In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A or a bunch of others. So why is it only McDonald's that has a problem with the broken ice cream maker?
I feel like it's so, you keep asking questions that raise the stakes.
Yeah, and define in an evidence way. I just proved to you, like, they don't have this, and yet it's the same machine, so there's something going on here. And it's like, I'm not telling them, I'm asking the question together with them. And I think that's one of the reasons this video did well, is like, people were along on the journey, and they were discovering with me. And like, that's a really satisfying, very YouTube-y kind of experience of like, join me on this journey of discovery, and I'm just a normal guy out there with a camera trying to learn. I think that that's a really relatable experience.
So let's fast forward to this part in the video where you establish like who's really getting hurt by all this.
If you want a real answer on this, you need to talk to the people who suffer the most when these machines broken, which actually isn't McDonald's corporate. It's the people who own these individual restaurants or franchises. These are the people who pay the price in lost revenue when the machine is broken. So I ask you to bear with me as we learn how an ice cream machine at McDonald's works and why they always break. Once you understand that, you will understand who is getting rich every time one of these things breaks.
How do you think about the music coming in there? Because you gave us a lot of talking head there.
Yeah.
And exposition. Like, how do you think about that music? Real quick, my favorite part of the video is coming up, and that's where Johnny shows exactly how he uses music to add more emotion to his videos. Which brings me to today's sponsor, Licked. Licked has the world's biggest catalog of licensed mainstream music with over 1.4 million tracks from Dua Lipa, Bruno Mars, and more. And there's no other service that gives you off-the-shelf mainstream music licenses for YouTube. And best of all, Licked protects you from all copyright claims, so you keep your AdSense money. I mean, just check out how my past video sounds without Licked. And now with a track from Licked. A recent study even found that mainstream music increased views by 14% and up to 40% for certain verticals. And with YouTube getting even more competitive, every little detail matters. I mean, you wouldn't upload your video with a boring thumbnail, so why would you do it with music? So use this link to try Lick to get unlimited royalty-free music and premium mainstream tracks so you get the perfect soundtrack for your next video. All right, now back to it.
In this case, I wanted to say like, all right, we're gonna divert to this other section. I'm gonna signpost that there's more to come, but first, let's pull on this thread, how the machine works. You have to understand it, bear with me. And the music cue that starts there is like a buckle up, like we're gonna dive into this thing, and it's kind of hoping that the people won't like click away because we're about to get into a manual.
Yeah.
So I sort of, the music cue is meant to like hype a little bit.
Yeah, because you need it, because it's like, and I think setting expectation, this might be a little, this part is gonna get tedious, but the music helps like kind of
but I promise it's worth it, like stick around and then like montage, yeah.
And why they have an incentive to keep them broken.
And I was like, okay,
montage.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be around like 5%. And it came back.
I love that you can make a montage out of anything, you know?
Insane.
One question that needs to be asked is, should you be building ice cream machines if after 17 years,
and this is just insane like drama to watch.
Okay, so then you talk about like the cost to the franchisees, which is this crazy, like they have to pay $144 for 30 minutes of service for, you know, this company Taylor, which we'll find out is in cahoots with McDonald's.
Yes, exactly.
To come fix these things that should easily like be running, and then you say this, and this is my favorite part of the video.
Yeah, this is where to me it clicked in terms of like my understanding, and I wanted to create the same click for the viewer, and that's what this part is.
Yeah. I worked in fast food in high school. It's a chaotic world. You're just trying to make people happy. Meanwhile, the person's
pure
trying
drama.
to like run the heat cycle, it fails again. So
the rising music,
yeah. Managers
This is our Putin music.
You have angry people asking for ice cream, and everyone's just saying like, yeah, the ice cream machine's down, sorry, we can't do anything about it. So finally, the manager calls the franchise owner, the owner of the business, and says, what do we do? And the franchise owner says, we need to get ice cream sales going. This is not okay, we're losing money. Just call the guy.
Just call the guy.
That, like, I feel like a catharsis, like watching that. Yeah. Because it's like, it makes me feel like the franchise owner. Like it's just pure chaos, and I'm like, oh, now the ice cream machine is broken, just call the guy and pay the damn money.
Yes, totally.
Not realizing like the you know, higher power and the monopoly at play.
Incentives at play, and you can see in this image right here, we circle, and we do this throughout, but we circle, this is a flow chart for troubleshooting the machine. And so many of these decision trees come down to call the service technician, call the service technician, call the service technician, call the service, meaning if this, then call the service technician. So it's almost like their own manual incentivizes these franchise owners to be like, I've tried these 5 things, my only last thing to do is to call the service technician.
Yeah.
All roads lead back to calling the service technician, which is exactly the business model that Taylor, who sells the machine and is the only one who authorized to work on it, benefits a lot of money. Like that's a big business for them.
Essentially, call a technician is like pay $300.
Yes.
Pay $300.
Call the guy,
like,
call the guy. You're in rush hour, you want to get this fixed, just call the guy.
Just call the guy, yeah. Jesus.
Now we're getting to the heart of this. The guy, in this case, means one guy or woman, which is an authorized service technician from Taylor, the company who makes the machine. Turns out that Taylor is the only company that is authorized to repair and maintain these machines. It's in their contract. If you call anyone else but Taylor, first off, they wouldn't know how to use it because it's such a strange, esoteric machine, but also you would void your contract, your warranty. So you call the service technician, he or she comes to fix the machine. We got our hands on some actual invoices that show how much these Taylor repair people cost. It's different in every market and for every scenario, but somewhere to the tune of $144 for the first 30 minutes, and then up to hundreds of dollars for each additional 15 minutes thereafter.
And this is where like the nefarious stuff that seems kind of silly at first, you start to realize that like between Taylor and McDonald's, there is this like corporate like collusion of some kinds, and however you define collusion, but like something is happening to keep this machine bad. And like, it doesn't happen at Wendy's, it doesn't happen anywhere else, it just happens in this relationship with this one machine, and anyone tries to ask questions, it becomes an issue.
Were you scared to make this video? I mean, you're calling out one of the biggest companies in the world.
I wasn't scared because I felt so rock solid. Like we had such good primary source evidence. Yet after I published it, like everyone was like, dude, like McDonald's corporate's gonna like come after you. They didn't. And I reached out to them for comment even and told them what I was doing. And I think when you have a piece like this that's very buttoned up, they just sort of stay silent.
Johnny, this next part, you do such a good job of bringing stats, but then you make me care about them. I want to talk about how you do that.
The real target for mass industrial products is 99.99966% of the time your product is working. That means 3.14 errors for every 1 million opportunities. What you're seeing here with 15% is a dismal failure, and it is the product of no pressure or no incentive to improve.
So what I was trying to do here is show that like in a lot of software or a lot of like professional B2B business type things, there is a standard that is so high. If your product is failing 3 times out of 1 million, that's like code red. The fact that there are 150,000 times per 1 million is like so, what I tried to do here is do a visualization that shows just how huge of a failure rate this is compared to like the standard, to demonstrate this is a massive problem. This is a massive problem that they're somehow okay with because someone's getting really rich.
Yeah, because 15%, I mean, to the average person may not sound like a high number.
But it is a astronomically high number in a world that is compared against, you know, like the Six Sigma kind of standard of like, you know, very, very low failure rates. So it just demonstrates that like this is an artificially inflated kind of situation that like that they have been able to buoy up through this kind of collusion and monopoly. That's just not cool, and it doesn't. And this is sort of trying to prove like this is not what's best for the customer.
Yeah. And Taylor is making the money because of these.
Yes, exactly. Like someone's getting rich off of this.
But here's what's going on. The guy who reached out to me originally was someone named Jeremy. He's a tech entrepreneur. He invented a product that could basically fix this problem of like terrible feedback to the user of these ice cream machines. It's this device that you plug into your ice cream maker and it connects with your phone and it gives you solid reporting on all the things happening in your ice cream machine, something that this does not do.
There's this product that this guy came up with to fix this, to give like better reporting to the franchise owners so that they know what to do so they don't have to call the guy.
Because the product, the dashboard is confusing.
It's so confusing, and it does, and the manual doesn't actually give you a lot of data. So he invented a product that you can plug in with a USB and get way more information on all these confusing codes that are like on your phone, and you can actually like make modifications to it on your phone.
Yeah.
And they can like train their employees to help avoid this. Now, let me just caveat for a second. Jeremy and his company Kytch obviously have a big financial stake in this story. I'm aware that he reached out to me and gave me some of this data, and that there's a big conflict of interest in terms of like neutral journalism and my informant being somebody who stands to gain a lot of money.
So we just revealed who sent you that initial email.
Exactly, yeah. And it's so important that this disclosure happens. The viewer is gonna know it. The viewer is gonna be smart enough. I needed to call this out, and I approached the whole thing being very cagey about this source, because I'm like, dude, you're in a lawsuit with these people. You have so much to gain. You have every incentive in the world that they're the bad guy and you're the good guy. I need to make sure that I'm calibrated to those incentives. And so everything he sent, that's why it took so long. Everything he sent me, I had to triple verify without going through him, which was really hard because he gave me a lot of good stuff. It all checked out in the end, and that's why I was able to report on all this.
So important to do, especially for, you know, the lines being blurred between YouTube and, you know,
Totally. I didn't need to do this. There's no code of ethics.
Yeah.
But for my relationship with my audience and for my own ethics, this is like a no-brainer.
100%.
And that's why this story has taken me literally months to report. I've had to go through and independently report and verify every single thing that Jeremy has told me. Hence this. So yes, while there is a major stake for Jeremy and Kytch for this story and for exactly what I'm saying here, the fact is everything that I have said here checks out on my own independent reporting.
Okay, so Johnny, this part is just the punchline and where everything like comes together. Let me play it, and I have a few questions.
Again, is this a deep conspiracy? Is there like secret backdoor deals going on? No, this is actually horribly predictable. What this is old companies who are afraid of being disrupted by smarter, better products, doing whatever they can to hold on to their share of the market.
Why did you feel like it was important to make this about more than just the McDonald's story?
Yeah. I think whenever I do a piece, and this was actually the beginning of a long series I do now, where I look at conspiracies and I actually try to pull lessons out of them. I think that humans want to believe conspiracies, that there's some evil thing happening. Usually the explanation is that the accurate explanation is much more informative. And the debate turns into, is the conspiracy correct or is it completely not correct? And oftentimes it falls somewhere in the middle. It's a much more boring explanation, but it shows us how our world works. And that should be called out. When you focus on the conspiracy, you actually let these people off the hook, because there's actually just corporate protectionism happening here, and that's shitty, and that should be called out. I try this with every one of my pieces to like bring it back to a real world lesson that we can learn about how the world works. To me, that's my mission, is to like make sure that someone walks away with a better understanding of not just this topic, but like the grand theories that govern incentives and business and all of that.
It's the same old story of keeping tight control over what data and experience the user has so that they can continue to maintain their exclusive relationship with services and repairs, which is 25% of their business. It's honestly smart, shrewd, cutthroat business behavior. But for now, next time you're at McDonald's and they don't have ice cream, just know that it's not because of lazy employees, it's not because of lack of training, it's because there's an old relationship between two old companies that don't want things to change.
Oof. Did you script out that closing line? That was so powerful.
I think I did. Yeah, I don't actually remember. It's a little wordier than I would write today, but I think I probably had that written and just sort of riffed on it a couple ways of like, I wanted that to be the poignant, very clear takeaway.
Yeah.
And the way that it ended, I think, was exactly right.
Any other thoughts on the video? That was, to me, a masterpiece.
Thank you. Honestly, I really cut my teeth in a lot of the investigative stuff that I do now in this process. This was a really fun piece. It was obviously sweet to the taste to a lot of people, but I do this same thing now for almost every one of my pieces. It's just not as like sexy and kind of dramatic and universal. But like when I go deep down on like the kind of CIA, you know, the sins of the CIA, I'm actually much more rigorous than I was on this. And it's fun to go back and see like this was my entry point into like obsessing over primary source evidence, not taking no for an answer and like really going there. And I think the world needs that. We need to keep people accountable. And if we can do it in kind of a entertaining, fun way, like that's the beauty of journalism on YouTube.
Dude, that's amazing. Well, it's cool to look at your past work and see room for improvement.
Totally.
Even though this one got 12 million views.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you breaking it down.
Yeah,
Thanks,
man, this is great.
Pleasure.
Super fun.